In this tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at how to transfer this image into this image. So let's get into Lightroom right now. I'm going to show you how I did this. Alright, so here we are in Lightroom. I'm going to just show you the 5 images that I use to take this shot. So this first one is my ambient layer, and what I did was I did 3 brackets at 2 stops apart, not intentionally doing that because I wanted to do an HDR blend, but just so I had 3 different exposures to work with to pick the best one. So what I typically like to do in this situation, and again, I'm somebody that likes to run with lights off when possible, when the realtor is okay with it and the situation allows for it, which usually is all the time because, again, I light everything, so I don't really care about the added tungsten lighting that usually comes with having the interior house lights on. So here is my first ambient shot, and what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to use this one for the the ceiling repair, I call it. Let's go to the next shot. This will be my window repair shot, so because we had some reflections, because I was running with a Godox V1 flash on top of the camera as well as my Godox 8200 in my hand. You can see my right flash pop here, and then it's also lighting the foreground with that flash on top of the camera. And then we move over to here. This image is the far dining room shot. So we're going to blend all these together in Photoshop. All I did was do my initial preset bump here and then had to make some adjustments. Just like I show in other tutorials, make sure you create presets for yourself. That'll make your workflow go a little bit faster. So we're just going to click the first image here, hold down shift and click the last image. That'll select them all, and then we're going to right click and then edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. So once all your layers have been loaded into Photoshop, this is my method that I think has been the simplest to follow as far as how to organize all these layers. How are we going to take all 5 of these layers and blend them together to make a really nice looking image. So here it is in the simplest form I can teach this, okay? So make sure that you have your ambient layer sitting on top. We're going to toggle that off right now. We don't need it. So any repair layers that you do, just put them down at the very bottom. So here's one. This is what we're going to use on the window repair layer. We're going to bring that to the top after the fact. This is going to be a last thing that we do. So right now we can just click on it and then just drag it to the bottom. So now what we need to do is, okay, we're going to work on the right and left flash pop, and then underneath that will be our dining room shot. So that's the correct order. We want to get these 2 images blended, and then we can actually merge them together into one layer and then even simplify this process even further. So make sure the top layer is selected. Remember, everything that we're going to be working with now is going to be going just underneath the ambient layer, and then we can turn the ambient layer back on and blend the ambient layer into all the other flash pops that we do. So let's come down here to a layer mask and then Command I to invert it. Now a super simple way, instead of taking your brush tool and try to blending this out, is just use your gradient tool over here and click and drag somewhere in the middle. Now you're gonna have to play around with this if your flash hotspots on the ceiling. We're starting to get into that a little bit. Let's see if we can blend that a little bit better. And again, it's not going to be perfect, but it doesn't need to be because we're going to use the ambient layer at the very end to fix any issues that we have with the ceiling. That's why I took a brighter exposure to really use the ambient layer predominantly for the ceiling. Okay, so once these are done, you can merge these together if you wanted to, but it's not going to be necessary for this demonstration. So our next layer right here is that dining room layer. So we can drag this just underneath the ambient layer. And now here's another trick. To blend this together, so see how this is dark? We got this really bright dining room here that we need to light. Instead of doing a layer mask and then trying to paint back in just this, all you need to do is take that layer and move it to lighten mode. And what that's going to do is blend that seamlessly. It's going to just enhance, and I don't know, somebody leave me a comment below, what exactly is lighten mode doing? I believe it's just turning on or basically exposing the brightest parts of the image. So again, you will have, let's toggle that on and off. You can see it is brightening up a little bit in our foreground, which is perfect in this situation because it needed to be boosted a little bit. So look at how fast that was. I mean, it blended it so seamlessly. I'm like thank you to a subscriber who actually pointed out that I'm making more work for myself and I could just turn a lot of these layers into lighten mode and be done with it. So again, that's why I love. Leave a comment. Even if you know this stuff better than I do, great. Leave a comment, and so we can all read the comments and learn from each other. I'm teaching what I know up to this point in my career, but again, somebody's going to come along that has a way better solution, way faster, and again, that's kind of why I created this channel in the first place, is to be, you know, not the one that thinks he knows everything, but, you know, I'm putting my work out there. Some things you're going to think, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I've had a lot of comments on the whole gradient tool thing, and I learned that from somebody else. So again, you take whatever works easiest for you and your brain on how you do things, and, you know, bits and pieces from everybody else, and, you know, we get the job done a lot faster. So, and that what makes the job even more fun is when you get on site, you're not intimidated, you know exactly what you need to be doing as far as how to light a room, and you know your images are going to look amazing. Not only that, but you know you're going to be able to turn around and deliver these images fast, so then you can get on with your life. You know, if you're struggling and you're spending like all day editing one listing, it's gonna burn you out quick. So that's why we need to come up with methods and processes, not to be perfect, but just to make it look really, really nice and high-end without spending a ton of time. So that is really the secret to this game that I found. Okay, so remember, we want to, now actually we can turn our ambient layer back on. We want to blend this all together, and then we can bring our window repair layer up. All right, so let's do a layer mask, Command I to invert it. Let's take our paintbrush and then just brush back in ambient light where we need it, mostly in that ceiling. And again, I could have probably did some flash pops on this in this hallway right here, which, you know, and again, I don't know how much ambient light I want to bring in because it was contrasty. I mean, it was a lot of shadows going on, and again, I'm not afraid of shadows, but you do want to make it look bright and nice. So let's just slowly paint back in, as long as we don't have unnatural shadows on the ceiling, which, you know, or on the cabinetry, so we can get rid of some of that haze from the flash there, get some natural glare going here. Alright, I like that. That's blended enough. We have a flash hotspot over here. So what I'm going to do, again, this is our flash repair layer. This is the last thing we need to do. Bring that up. And now we can do a layer mask, Command I to invert. And then just left bracket to make that smaller. And then just paint that back in. And we're done. Alright, let's bring this back into Lightroom and bump it up a little bit and bring up those shadows even more. So we're going to flatten the image. Command S to save it. Right back into Lightroom. I'm going to do my interior final bump. I like that. We can even bring those blacks down a little bit more. Maybe bring those shadows up. Let's drop that exposure because it looks like we're getting a little too crazy there. Maybe not so much on the blacks. Maybe we can boost that vibrance a little bit. Now here's a quick trick that I found in Lightroom. So if you come down here to your hue, saturation, and luminance sliders, we have this little toggle button right here to the left. I don't know if you can see that. So leave it on saturation. So if you want to know whether or not you're having color cast coming in, saying on the floor or whatever, all you need to do is click on this, bring it over, and you're going to either pull it down, you're going to click and drag down, or up to bring in more of the saturation. But if we pull it down, notice the blue slider is moving, and so is the purple. So there was probably a little bit of purple hue in this marble floor, but not blue. Now if we toggle this on and off, you can look right here on the floor where it is pulling out that blue. That's the blue on the floor, and then we pull it out with the slider. Alright, well that's the simplest way I can teach on how to blend multiple images together in a really complex, dark kitchen. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I got tutorials coming out all the time. Always learning new stuff to share with you guys. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.